Hey, Cindy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brittany. Great to be here.
So awesome to have you. The first time I actually ever heard you speak was at the Women in Sex Tech conference earlier this year, and you were a powerhouse speaker. I was so inspired to go and conquer the world and fund all the women, have all the sex, do all the things.
Excellent. I'm delighted to hear it.
I was like, I'm going to conquer the world, and Cindy Gallop said I could.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was so awesome. It was so awesome. Do you speak at a lot of conferences like that?
I do, because actually, as a bootstrapping entrepreneur, battling, as you will be aware, unique challenges to build a sex tech venture, my startup, Make Love Not Porn, I have to support myself alongside it. So I pay the bills by doing paid public speaking and consultancy.
Excellent. Well, you're worth every penny, because like I said, changed and then I followed you on Twitter, and then sometimes you retweet me, and I'm like, oh my God, Cindy Gallop retweet me. So big fangirl over here. But a lot of our listeners are aspiring FemTech founders, or maybe they're studying political science or journalism, and they're like, how do I get into women's health? And so everyone has a different story. So we'd love to kick off this interview with you telling us where you're from, what did you study, what did you do before this, and then how did you end up here?
Sure. So I am half English, half Chinese. My father was English, my mother is Chinese. I was born in the UK, but when I was 6, my family moved to Brunei in Borneo. So I grew up in Asia. I went to boarding school and then university in the UK. I studied English literature at Oxford University at Somerville College. And I began my career in theatre marketing and then moved over to advertising. And so my background is 35 years working in brand building, marketing and advertising. And everything in my life and career has happened by a complete accident, including my startup. So Make Love Not Porn is a total accident. I never consciously intentionally set out to do anything I very bizarrely find myself doing now. I date younger men, and the men I date tend to be in their 20s. Mm-hmm. And about 12, 13 years ago now, I began realizing through dating younger men that I was encountering an issue that would never have crossed my mind if I had not encountered it so intimately and personally. I realized that I was experiencing what happens when two things converge. And I stress the dual convergence, Brittany, because most people think it's only one thing. I realized I was experiencing what happens when today's total freedom of access to hardcore porn online meets our society's equally total reluctance to talk openly and honestly about sex. Yeah. When those two things converge, porn becomes sex education by default in not a good way. Yep. And so I found myself encountering a number of sexual behavioral memes in bed. I went, whoa, I know where that behavior is coming from. I thought, I thought, if I'm experiencing this, other people must be as well. Because bear in mind, I didn't know that. 12, 13 years ago, nobody was talking about this. Nobody was writing about it. This was me in isolation as a naturally action-oriented person going, I want to do something about this. Mm-hmm. So 11 years ago, I put up on no money a tiny clunky website at MakeLoveNotPorn.com that in its original iteration was just words. The construct was porn world versus real world. Here's what happens in the porn world. Here's what really happens in the real world. I launched at TED in 2009. I became the only TED speaker to say the words "come on my face" on the TED stage 6 times in succession. The talk went viral as a result, and it drove this extraordinary global response to my tiny website that I had never anticipated. Yeah. And I realized I'd uncovered a huge global social issue. Thousands of people wrote to me from every country in the world, young and old, male and female, straight and gay, pouring their hearts out. And so I felt I had a responsibility to take Make Love Not Porn forwards in a way that would make it much more far-reaching, helpful, and effective. And so I turned it into a business. I turned it into MakeLoveNotPorn.tv, whose single-minded mission is to help make it easier for every single person in the world to talk openly and honestly about sex. Our
Mhm.
tagline is pro-sex, pro-porn, pro-knowing the difference. And so what we are is,
Yes.
so we are the world's first and only user-generated, human-curated social sex video sharing platform. We are what Facebook would be if Facebook allowed you to socially, sexually self-express. Because we are socializing and normalizing sex in the real world, as I said, to make it easier to talk about, to promote consent, communication, good sexual values, and good sexual behavior. And so we are spearheading what we call the social sex revolution.
Oh.
The revolution part is not the sex, it's the social.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is so amazing because, you know, I was recently just telling someone it's a great thing to be a FemTech leader because I get lots of insider scoops on good sex tech products. And I was talking to somebody about, you know, like being this crazy, intense, loud feminist and then watching some videos at night and afterwards feeling so bad about myself because I feel like it's directly in contradiction with what my values are, right? And then I found some videos that are more focused on the woman's pleasure. I pleasured myself to those and now I'm like, oh, I feel great. And I'm like, wow, this really does change the way my insides feel, you know?
No, exactly. And so I'm glad you said that, Brittany, because for the benefit of our listeners, I want to drill into what I mean when I say Make Love Not Porn is social sex a bit more. Because we, separate to being extremely hot and arousing, which we totally are, we have many benefits built into being the only real world sex video sharing platform. If porn is the Hollywood blockbuster movie, we're the real world documentary. You know, we are a unique window into the way the rest of us in the world have sex in the real world. And the reason that's beneficial is, first of all, social sex is enormously reassuring because we celebrate real world everything, real world bodies, real world hair, real world penis size, real world breast size. And the reason that's important, Brittany, is because you can talk body positivity, okay? You can preach self-love, but the fact of the matter is, nothing makes you feel great about your own body like watching people who are nobody's idea of aspirational body types getting turned on by each other, desiring each other, having an amazing time in bed. Our mantra at Make Love Not Porn is everybody is beautiful when they're having real world sex, and they really are. We're also reassuring because we celebrate the accidents, the awkwardness, the messiness. If you only learn about sex from porn, porn teaches you that sex is a performance. Nothing must go wrong. Oh my God, it did. How embarrassing. I can never speak about this to anybody ever. Whereas we go, if you can't laugh at yourselves in bed, when can you? And in our videos, ridiculous things happen because this is the real world. You know, and you know, it's also reassuring because you know, you will see in our social sex videos things you won't see anywhere else. So, you know, for example, you know, I mean, we exist to celebrate the full glorious spectrum of human sexuality. And so, you know, we have videos that, you know, for example, you know, a couple might have decided that they want to role play. Okay. And so they'll be doing a, teacher and naughty schoolgirl or whatever. But on Make Love Not Porn, what you see is halfway through the role play, you know, one half of the couple goes, you know what, this isn't really doing it for me. And the other half goes, you're right, me neither. Then they go, let's just have sex. And so they dump the whole thing and just have a good, you know, and so it's very low stakes, you know, it shows that you can absolutely try something, find out you don't like it, drop it, you know, and so we basically inspire people, and our members write into us every day and tell us how we've changed their lives. You know, we inspire people to try something different, to feel better about their own bodies. I mean, what always amazes me is not just how well Make Love Not Porn does everything I designed it to do, but how well it does things I never designed it to do consciously. So we hear from survivors of rape, sexual abuse, sexual assault, and by the way, we hear from female and male survivors who tell us that Make Love Not Porn has helped them reclaim their bodies. You know, it's enabled them to feel sexual again. Because we are just wonderful, loving, glorious, funny, ridiculous, real world sex. Yeah. And we are the only place that you can experience that. And a very important part of what we do is, I designed Make Love Not Porn around something every other tech platform should have, but nobody has: human curation. So our curators watch every single video submitted from beginning to end before we approve it for publishing. We also review every single post on what we call Make Love Not Porn Social, which is the ability to post on your profile photos, text, illustration. They could be safe work or not safe for work, but we review every single one before we publish it. We review every single comment on every single video before publishing it. And so, unlike any other platform on the internet, we can vouch for every piece of content on our platform. And that is why Make Love Not Porn is a place where you will find nothing but love. We celebrate nothing but love, showcase nothing but love, feature nothing but love.
I've had a lot of sex tech and sexual wellness individuals come on our show, and I usually think about them more in like the physical health and like the biological, like they're creating a lotion for vaginal dryness. They're creating a drug for sexual dysfunction. With you, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I kind of think about you and your solution as like the psychology of intimacy,
No, I mean, you're absolutely right, Brittany. And in fact, what we call ourselves is we are telehealth for your sex life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Because we are also, we are also absolutely about sexual health and wellness, but we are approaching it in a very, very unique way.
Yeah.
And especially because, I love what you said about psychology, because we're all so fucked up about sex. We've defaulted sex to an act, to a thing we do. It's not, it's personality. Who you are sexually informs everything about how you feel about yourself, other people, your relationships, your lives, your happiness. I say to people, Make Love Not Porn operates in the single biggest market of them all. Not sex, not porn, the market of human happiness.
Yeah.
And so, what's unique about us is not just what we do, but the way that we do it. Yeah. As I said, we're social. We are bringing real world sex out into the sunlight. We're normalizing everything to do with it. And our members tell us that is what is so liberating about what we do. And we give them the comfort and the confidence to feel at ease with themselves as sexual beings. Yeah. And that the psychological impact of that is massive.
That is incredible, because you mentioned earlier, like, you have a lot of survivors that say, like, this is finally something I can feel comfortable with, and for myself as a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, I thought that the paradigm was that I would be prude and hate sex my whole life. But turns out, like, I engaged in lots of sex, and I thought, oh my God, I'm such a bad survivor, which I've had many therapists say, girl, no.
No.
But I interpreted from movies like, oh, she's a survivor, so she avoids intimacy, like something, I'm not even a good survivor, right? But
no, and in fact, the best possible survival, Brittany, is when you feel able, as I said, to be at ease with yourself as a sexual being, and you can embrace and own your sexuality.
Yes, yeah. And that's still a work in progress for me, like, I thought in college I was just hetero flexible because I thought women were cute. And then I dated some women and I was like, am I bi? And then I have a lot of gay friends, and I felt kind of pressured actually to like pick sides. And I was like, I don't know, just kind of living in it. I don't know.
And that's another key point, Brittany. Sexuality is fluid.
Yeah.
And so one of the, again, very unique things about what Make Love Not Porn is, because again, this is very much to do with, what we are, we're just creating a platform to reflect the way we all have sex in the real world. So what I love is that we are breaking down those barriers. So for example, we are all inclusive, obviously LGBTQ, everything. We have many solo videos. So we have men, women, non-binary, trans individuals who've shared videos of themselves masturbating. By the way, often for the first time ever, okay? Most of our Make Love Not Porn stars, as we call our contributors, had never filmed themselves doing anything sexual before. They do it for us, they believe in our mission. And incidentally, those individuals, when they film themselves in this very intimate act, shared on our platform, for complete strangers to watch, they tell us that doing that made them love themselves more.
Yeah.
It actually enhanced their sexual sense of self, their sexual self-esteem. But the interesting thing is, so we have straight men who write to us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a straight man, it's a safe bet that you have never ever watched another man masturbate. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have straight men who write into us and say, I love watching your male masturbation videos because, as one man said, I suddenly realized I could be having so much more fun masturbating. Because when you see how other men masturbate, you learn tricks and techniques that you would never otherwise, because again, men don't usually talk about this with each other.
Oh, no.
And obviously, by the way, the same thing goes if you are female, non-binary.
Yeah.
Again, this is the wonderful thing about what we are, because one of the reasons I conceived Make Love Not Porn as a social sex video sharing platform is because the number one reason people go to YouTube is how-to videos.
Yeah.
It far outstrips the number two reason, which is entertainment.
Yep.
First and foremost, people go to YouTube for how-to videos and how to do anything and everything. I conceive Make Love Not Porn as the go-to global hub for how-to videos on anything and everything to do with sex in the real world. And so we are education through demonstration. For example, because this is something that porn will absolutely not be good at helping with.
Mm-hmm.
Our lick job videos are enormously popular. Now, lick job is the female version of blowjob. Okay?
Oh,
because when we started Make Love Not Porn, I said to my team, I want us to find a term for female oral sex that is as short and punchy and easy to say as blowjob. And the reason that's important, Britt, is because when it's short and quick and easy to say, it's a lot quicker and easier to ask for it. It's a lot quicker and easier to make it happen more often. Okay.
Yeah.
So our lick job videos are wonderful. I mean, they're hot and arousing, but they're also wonderful demonstrations of how to make women come in the real world.
Yeah.
Because as my friend sex nerd Sandra says, if your eyebrows aren't wet, you're not doing it right.
Preach, yes.
So, welcome to, Make Lick Job Love on Make Love Not Porn.
Yep. Well, this could be perceived as me in like sex therapy right now, but the whole reason I even, I like to be really authentic. My listeners know that I share a lot about my period and all the different things and my boob sizes. And the reason I'm sharing about my own struggles with porn and sexual wellness is because it is so psychological, right? Like so much of this is that we don't have good sex ed in our country.
Yep.
We don't have good cultural symbols of women's bodies. We are not celebrating this shape or that shape or this noise or that noise that happens, right? And so, I just want to always be authentic with our listeners that like even me with my pink hair and my 3D clit on my on my desk, even me, I'm like, I don't know what to watch that makes my soul feel okay, because I struggle with it too.
And so you need to watch Make Love Not Porn, Brittany, because also we celebrate real world emotion.
Yeah.
We celebrate love, intimacy, feelings. Our members write to us. I mean, one member wrote and said to the Make Love Not Porn stars, the sex in that video was incidental. I want what you guys have. I saw the way you looked at each other. I saw the way your eyes met. I hope one day I can meet someone I'll have that with. In the comments in our videos, people say all the time, the love you have for each other really shines through. The way you're enjoying yourself in solo videos is so wonderful. Our videos radiate something porn obviously doesn't have, because porn's not designed to do this. We radiate real world emotion.
Yeah.
And that's incredible to experience.
And I mean, how empowering for the woman if a man can watch that too, because like one time, Mom, I hope you're not listening, at least by this point, you've turned it off. But one time I was getting eaten out and I queefed, and the guy like had never heard that before and was like super startled, and he practically fell out of bed. Like he jumped back so fast, and the amount of shame I had was
no, because again, if you can't laugh at yourselves in bed, when can you? That is the video we love on Make Love Not Porn. We have accidents and people kill themselves laughing. And again, it's so important. As you say, if you've never realized that can happen, you can absolutely see that happen on Make Love Not Porn.
What just happened? He was like, I don't even know what that was, what happened. And I like how to educate him. Like sometimes that can happen, you know? And so I would love for him to have seen videos that show, hey, these noises sometimes happen, you know?
Yeah. And also, the great thing too, Brittany, is, again, with social sex, so couples watch our videos together. And, we're a communications vehicle. We exist to make it easier to talk about sex. And so couples tell us, one couple wrote and said, it was so easy to communicate about our own sex life off the back of watching videos, because it's just like talking about something you just watched on Netflix or TV. It normalizes it again. It makes it just really easy and relaxed to have those conversations off the back of what you just watched.
Wow. Well, so in terms of FemTech as a business and sex tech as a business, what's your experience been like barriers to your success? Obviously, we have already confirmed this is really important. So like, what are barriers that you face almost on a daily basis?
So here's the infuriating thing, Brittany, because ever since I launched MakeLoveNotPorn.tv 8 years ago now, I mean, we've had nothing but a phenomenally positive response from all around the world. We're global. We have members and traffic in 184 countries. But the one thing I did not realize when I embarked on this venture was that I would fight an enormous battle every single day to build it. Essentially because every piece of business infrastructure any other tech startup can take for granted, we can't. The small print always says no adult content. Wow. And it's all based across every area of the business. And by the way, this applies to sex tech and femtech. I'm going to come on to talk about the term femtech in a moment, by the way.
Okay.
But I can't get funded. I can't get banked. It took me 4 years to find one bank here in America that would allow me to open a business bank account to make biggest operational challenge: payments. PayPal won't work with adult content. Stripe can't. Mainstream processors like American Express won't. Every tech service I need to use, the terms of service always say no adult content. Had to build our video sharing platform from scratch as proprietary technology, because existing streaming services won't stream adult content. Even something as simple as finding an email partner. MailChimp won't work with us. Rejected by 670, we found Sendgrid who would. Everything is a battle. And also, very importantly, we can't advertise. Facebook, every social platform bans, not just, by the way, sex-related ventures. There's a gender bias, anything to do with menstruation, menopause, fertility. And so, it's funny that I'm talking to you because I was there at the very origination of the term femtech. So femtech was originated by a wonderful female founder, Ida Tin of Clue, the period app. And in fact, she held several salons here in New York, which she invited me to. This is years ago, where we talked about all of the barriers facing all of us in this entire very broad area of sex tech and sexual health and wellness. And Ida came up with the term femtech, quite frankly, as a way to make investors less squeamish about what actually should absolutely be called sex tech. Okay. And I can tell you this because I had those conversations at the time. In those discussions, I was not a fan of the term femtech. I said, we're talking about sex tech, and I'm championing the term. I defined it. If you Google sex tech, I'm result 1 on page 1. And so I'm all about go out there loud and proud. But I really sympathize with, particularly the startups that are around the areas of menstruation, of fertility, of menopause, of, because, if femtech, makes it at all easier, by all means use the term. The irony is that in most cases it doesn't. Because what we have is we have a male-dominated tech world, we have a male-dominated investment world. And obviously, white male VCs cannot relate. And in fact, they squirm away from anything to do with, oh my God, inner female workings, and so that is why, alongside everything I do, I am working all the time, as are many women, to basically get many more female founders funded by getting many more female founded funds and female investors funded.
Yeah, I preach that all the time. We've heard it, and we are still fighting to fund female founders, but I'm really fighting now to just get women to invest, because then we don't have to fight that fight, And I'm also a big fan of, maybe femtech isn't the right word, but we had to start somewhere, right?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Totally. And so that is so awesome. We actually just had Ida on the show, so it's really cool.
Great, that's fantastic.
These, like, original trailblazers.
Yep.
What do you think is the solution for, like, a lot? Obviously this must keep you up at night. So what are some solutions that maybe even FemTech Focus could help with in terms of getting Facebook to say, sexual dysfunction, or, how do we change this?
To be frank, Brittany, I'm very straightforward about this. What I explain to everybody is that all of us have 3 fundamental barriers: lack of funding, lack of access to infrastructure, and lack of ability to advertise. Solving number 1 solves 2 and 3. Because I can promise you, the only way those barriers fall away is when you write a big enough check.
Yeah.
Raise the funding to have a substantial advertising budget, and you'll be amazed how quickly those barriers fall. And I'm afraid, by the way, that is the only answer.
Yeah.
I'm a founder member of Women of Sex Tech. We have lobbied Facebook. We've protested outside Facebook's offices. A number of different ventures are doing, wonderful things, getting petitions signed. Quite frankly, none of that is going to do anything. Money talks. When all of us have big enough advertising budgets, individually and collectively, those barriers fall.
Wow, that's a great point. I knew you had thought about this. Your Twitter's filled with here's what we got to do. Here's the plan, y'all. Get on board, right? I'm actually really good friends with Frances Tang from Awkward.
We adore Frances.
Yes, I love Frances. I love the dripstick. I didn't think it was actually going to work, and then it worked really well, and I was like, what? Oh my God, sponge on a stick.
Brittany, only a woman would have had that idea.
Yeah.
I basically, explain to people that the most interesting things in sex tech and femtech are coming from female founders, because we are finally owning our sexuality.
Yes.
Because we get the enormous market that is women's needs, wants, and desires, historically deemed too embarrassing, shameful, taboo to address in business. And by the way, tap that huge primary market, you tap a huge secondary market of extremely happy men.
Yes. Yeah, it's a ripple effect. I was actually just messaging somebody last night that said, hey, have you ever heard of Awkward Essentials? So I said, oh yeah, I know them. And he's actually a Pakistani guy. And I was kind of like, whoa, how does he even know about Awkward? And he was like, it's a great company, huh? Winky face.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be an advisor to Frances and Awkward Essentials. And honestly, the great thing about, and the reason why I agreed to come on board is because it's one of those products where the moment you say what it is, everyone gets it.
Yep.
Men and women alike. Everybody gets it.
Yeah. And so what are you thinking the future of sex tech is when we have young Asian women like Frances saying, I'm tired of cum dripping out of my vagina all night, so I'm going to make a dripstick that cleans it out. What is the future of sex tech when women start to say this is unacceptable?
The future of sex tech, and this is what I always say, Brittany, is that we have not even begun to see what this category can be when we bring the female and diverse lens to it.
Yeah.
At the moment, depressingly, when you say the term sex tech, most people think of only 2 things: sex toys, sex robots.
Yep.
And they haven't even begun to understand how enormous this category is, and why, as I've been saying for years, sex tech is the next $1 trillion category in tech. Because it is massively under-leveraged, it's obviously massively underfunded, and at the moment also, Brittany, it is massively under-adopted, by which I mean, again, I've been saying for years at tech conferences to the audience, I'm going to ask you to do something nobody else has ever asked you to do: start a sex tech venture. This is the sector nobody has ever encouraged to become an entrepreneur in.
Yeah.
And what I say also is, when you start your sex tech venture, it's very important to bear in mind something I've never forgotten. So many years ago, I was booked to interview Larry Flint, the founder of Hustler. as the opening session at an entertainment conference in LA. And I was in the green room with Larry going through my list of questions. And one of my questions for him was, Larry, you pioneered in an industry where nobody is ever encouraged to pioneer. And I was going to go on and ask him, what would you say to entrepreneurs today to encourage them to do the same thing? But he stopped me, interrupted me, and he said, you know, I never thought of myself as a pioneer because I just didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I love that answer. And that's the way to approach this. You know, this is the area of universal human experience that ludicrously, not enough people have begun starting businesses in. Start a sex tech venture.
That's right. That's right. You know, even myself, when I was telling people, I was working as a VC in Texas. And when I started to tell my network, I'm going to start FemTech Focus. It's a podcast about women's health and wellness that includes periods, menopause, sexual wellness. Oh, what? What did you just, what sexual wellness? I'm like, yeah. Because it's all the wellnesses, you know, all the things, you know.
And by the way, Brittany, that reaction is not how they really feel. So my biggest obstacle raising funding for Make Love Not Porn is the social dynamic that I call fear of what other people will think.
Yeah.
Which operates around sex unlike any other area. When your friends responded like that, that is not how they really feel.
Yeah.
They're doing that because of fear of what other people think. That's what society's told them must respond. Shock horror. You know, actually, 11 years of working on Make Love Not Porn have absolutely taught me every single person in the world is dying to talk about sex.
Yeah.
No exceptions.
Yep. They have questions, you know. They got questions. And, so some of my colleagues and work weren't necessarily supportive of it. But I mean, I now have girlfriends that like, you cannot take me out without me talking about abortion and vulvas. Like, it's going to come up, you know, and there's like men that are like, so tell me more about this thing, or, and I just showed you my 3D clitoris. I like bring this around in my purse. I'm like, okay, everybody, here we are.
Quite right, Brittany.
Yeah, they all have questions. Well, Cindy, this has been seriously so much fun. You are a legend and a goddess and amazing. I have two last questions for you that our listeners love. The first one is, we have a lot of aspiring FemTech founders. What's an area in women's health and wellness that still needs innovating?
All of them. Guys, women's health has been ignored since the dawn of fucking time. Okay? Seriously, all medical research male focused, all medical, honestly, the sector is wide open.
Yep. Oh man, I love that. It's always so funny because inside I'm like, oh, these are trick questions because the answer is everything, but that's a great answer. And then the last question is, what does the femtech industry as a whole need the most right now in order to be successful?
Honestly, it's very straightforward. It needs funding.
Yep.
And so I urge everybody listening, absolutely set out to raise and make an absolute goddamn fucking shit ton of money. And by the way, I want you to think about it like that, because when you actually are successful and you make an absolute goddamn fucking shit ton of money, you can then use that money to fund the rest of us.
That's right.
And so it's very important to set out to make sure that your startup scales, bootstrap, do anything you can, raise funding, get out there and make an absolute goddamn fucking shit ton of money so you can support all the rest of us.
Cindy, I love it. The other day I was feeling real anxious, and sometimes I just got to like write up like, what are my priorities up on one of my dry erase boards. And I wrote like, what do I really want? And the first thing I wrote was be rich. Cause I was like, I want money. I really want money.
Exactly.
And easier.
And by the way, let me take this opportunity to recommend. So on Etsy, there's a wonderful woman called Mary Nguyen. She's Vietnamese, so that's Mary Nguyen, who creates the most incredible feminist t-shirts. Okay, so I recommend an audience you go and find Mary Nguyen on Etsy. But I've just ordered one because I saw another woman wearing it on Twitter. It says, "The girl of my dreams is me, just with more money."
I love it. And and a big part about that is because one, I just want money and I want nice things and I don't want student debt anymore, but I want to fund femtech,
exactly
play in the game right now so I can win the game. We can change the game, right? So Cindy, so much fun.
Right. So if I can just say to your listeners, Brittany, please, if you like everything I've talked about, support me by going to MakeLoveNotPorn.tv. Please sign up. Please take out a subscription. You can also donate if you feel so impelled, because members have asked us if they can donate to us. Consider becoming a Make Love Not Porn star. Okay, you may find it transformative. And also, especially because we have a revenue sharing business model, 50% of what our members pay to subscribe, rent, and stream social sex videos goes to you, our contributors. And you can follow us Instagram at Make Love Not Porn. You can follow me at Cindy Gallop. Same on Twitter at Make Love Not Porn at Cindy Gallop. Our Facebook page is mlnp.tv, and you can also find me on LinkedIn.
Cindy, boss babe, you are amazing. Thank you so much for your time today.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Brittany, and best of luck with your endeavors.
Thank you.